What I would like to emphasize is what companies need to do as they move forward and as they really try to evaluate their business models and how to adjust to the challenges in the global economy. And I think there are 4 things that companies need to do as they wrestle with the challenges that we are all facing. And the first one is to really do a rigorous diagnostics of what are the different trade policies meaning for them. So really understanding, how are different trade policies, the conflict between the US and China is impacting their business, but also, how are other challenges between maybe Japan and Korea, between Malaysia and India and other countries, how is that affecting their business? Really understanding that they need to have a very, very deep understanding of what's going on, the political and economic frictions that we are seeing. Secondly, to understand, what could be the pricing response. Not every tariff means that, there will be lower trade volume. It could indeed very well be that the trade or the pricing elasticities are quite low. I mean, if people want to sell soybeans and suddenly there is a tariff on soybeans, clearly, you can go somewhere else where there are no tariffs. On the other hand, if you are really like to have French champagne, and champagne can only come from France, and you are anyway spending hundreds of dollars on a bottle of a very, very good champagne, I think, you won't mind if it's 10% or 15 or 20% more. You will just pay that. And we've already heard about this. We need to understand how to readjust the supply chains. Now, we all have this idea that all supply chains are global. Of course, that's not true. There are many regional and local supply chains. And supply chains have been changing, not just because of the US-China trade friction, but because people have understood that the economics of different supply chains have changed. The amount of the economies of scale, wage increases, significant wage increases here in China and in other emerging markets, logistical costs. And so companies need to reevaluate their supply chains all the time. And fourthly, I think it's very important for companies to really strengthen their capabilities of understanding how trade flows are being impacted by politics and economics. Sometimes companies really just have to adapt. In other times, companies can play a very important role because they are very powerful in certain countries. They can really shape the trade policy. They can influence even the decisions by some very large governments because they are so important, and the success of their exports or imports are so important for the country at large. So I think it's very important to understand that you're not just a passive taker of decisions, but that you have a responsibility as a company to make sure that we really influence trade policies, and we also drive trade policies to ensure that there is openness